Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Siboga TV, which is actually the home of politics. And today we are going to have a candid debate about the press briefing of Azimio, which actually took place yesterday when the Azimio had what we call Azimio Summit. And in this Azimio Summit, all the principles within Azimio, actually, they came together so that they can discuss about various issues affecting this republic. And the principles who were actually present in this summit include the following: Eugene Wamalwa, who is the DAP party leader; Jeremiah Kioni, who is the Secretary General of Jubilee; Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, who is the leader of Wiper; Raila Amolo Odinga, who is the leader of ODM; and another person is Wachakoya, who is the leader of Root Party. And Martha Karua was not actually present, but they said that Martha Karua was attending another important meeting outside Kenya, so he had sent an apology. And on that press briefing, the Azimio leaders had spoke about the following. The first thing they had to talk about is about the NADCO report. The second thing they had to talk about is about the cost of living. Number 3, they talked about taxation. Number 4 is also about inclusivity in giving state jobs. And also they evaluated about the health of the economy. And lastly, they talked about the AU bid of Raila Amolo Odinga and how they are going to make sure that Raila Amolo Odinga ends up at the AU. So those were the specific issues that the Azimio Summit had to evaluate about. And when they were talking about the NADCO report, they wanted that the NADCO report must be implemented the way it is. And they requested President William Samoei Ruto to make sure that that report is stapled in Parliament and is actually going to go through. And they actually told President William Samoei Ruto that he must whip the 2 speakers in the House so that they can fast track the report. And also they talked about the cost of living. And these leaders said that still the cost of living is quite high. The burden for the Kenyans is felt. And they told William Samoei Ruto to look on taxation because the Kenyans have actually been taxed so heavily. And also they talked about the VAT on fuel, which is 16%. And they feel that that VAT should be brought down and probably to 8%. And they also asked the government that it should do away with the housing levy because it is unnecessary and it is straining Kenyans because it is taking more money from the pockets of the Kenyans. They came also across and talked about the inclusivity, about giving state jobs, that those state jobs, they must factor in about inclusivity, about balancing state jobs from all regions in the Republic of Kenya. And lastly, they had to talk about the bid of Raila Amolo Odinga to the AU. And they told Raila Amolo Odinga that he should transfers across the continent so that he can look for votes himself instead of depending the Kenya Kwanza, because they feel that the Kenya Kwanza government do not have the experience it needs to sell Raila Amolo Odinga across the continent. And therefore, that's why they felt that Raila Amolo Odinga should take that experience head on for him to succeed. And as a politician, I feel sometimes that the leaders within the Azimio are fooling the Kenyans. They are talking about the cost of living now and again, but they don't have a formula on how to deal with that. They talk about the NADCO report, that it should be implemented, and they are following in that keenly, such that the cost of living comes in to appease the Kenyans. And before I end this kind of analysis, let me give you a tip of what these leaders had to talk about. Please listen to this.
Yeah, a very good afternoon. Gentlemen, this is serious. There's no lady amongst you. So I can't even say ladies and gentlemen.
Even among us.
Hey. Yeah, the gardeners will save you because I see some two ladies. We have had a very good session, and as the Azimio leadership, Azimio la Umoja One Kenya leadership, and we have agreed that our brother Jeremiah Kioni, Secretary General of Jubilee, and one who was also the chair of our technical team during the National Dialogue Committee, reads our statement today. Mheshimiwa Jeremiah.
Asante. This is a statement on meeting of Azimio Summit that was held today, March the 5th, 2024. We have had a meeting of the summit, which is Azimio la Umoja One Kenya Coalition Party's top decision-making organ. The purpose of the meeting was, one, to take a bird's eye view of the nation with regard to issues that we have been outspoken on, namely the high cost of living, inclusivity in appointments to public service, the taxation regime, and the general health of the economy. Two, get a briefing on the status and progress of the NADCO report. Three, get a briefing on the progress and status of Azimio leader, Right Honorable Raila Amolo Odinga's bid for the chairmanship of the African Union Commission. On the state of the economy, the summit maintains that the view that the tax burden being borne by Kenyans is unreasonable and unsustainable. The Kenya Kwanza regime is failing the test of being caring and compassionate. Paying taxes should never be a punishment, but a patriotic duty. Under the KK regime, taxation is a punishment that is hurting the entire economy. We remain opposed to the 16% tax on petroleum products. We remain opposed to the housing tax and its colonial undertones that make it look like the infamous hut tax of the colonial era. We are deeply opposed to the high pay rates that Kenyan workers are being forced to endure. We remain opposed to the subjection of the retiree pensions to taxation. We also remain opposed deeply to the idea of subjecting farm produce to taxation. It is our position that forcing farmers to part with 5 shillings for every 100 shillings they make from their farm produce is unreasonable and cruel. We encourage our farmers to resist this tax with all their might. On NADCO, we have been adequately briefed on the progress, including a number of bills, and to be exact, 9 of them, that have been lined up for the implementation of the report. We express gratitude to Parliament for the adoption of the report that was a product of a bipartisan consensus and wide public participation. We retain the view that the report must be implemented as is. It is also our position that the processing of the NADCO report and the bills should be fast-tracked. Regrettably, we have also been informed of forces within KK, in and outside of Parliament, who are determined to undermine the report and the bills. We notify those forces that should any efforts to undermine or tamper with the report succeed, there will be very heavy price to pay. In this regard, we call on Honorable William Ruto to rein on the speakers of the 2 houses of Parliament and a number of members of the National Executive who are hell-bent on derailing the NADCO report and the bills. Those leaders have clearly demonstrated a determination to delay, and even kill the NADCO report, which is a negotiated document that pulled the country out of your hostilities to the peace that obtains today. Nobody should take the present situation as a given or for granted. We also express support to the principle of the 2/3 gender rule and its inclusion as part of the NADCO report. On the issue of the Right Honorable Raila Odinga's bid for AU chairmanship, the summit reiterated our earlier stand as a coalition to support in every way we can to ensure that Mr. Odinga takes the seat. It is our position as a coalition that it is in the best interest of the country and the East African community that Right Honorable Raila Odinga takes the seat. To this end, we very much appreciate the support of our neighbors and those across the continent who have extended their support to Right Honorable Raila Odinga. We are also encouraged by the personal efforts made by our party leader to win the seat without relying entirely on the endorsement by the state. And we are committed to reach out to friends and fellow leaders out there in support of our leader's bid. The meeting also strongly welcomed the efforts of our country, Kenya, to back Honorable Odinga. We agree this is not a partisan political issue, but a matter of national pride and image. We are united on this. As a coalition, we are committed to stay united and stay the course of holding the KK regime to account and to fight for the rights and dignity of the people of Kenya. In that regard, as we support Honorable Raila Odinga for the AU position, we will also support the right of Kenyans to an affordable living, lower taxes, and a functional economy that guarantees decent livelihoods. End of statement, and I thank you.
After listening to that, then you can agree with me that sometimes these readers, what they actually want to do is about the implementation of the NADECO report. There is nothing there about the people of Kenya because they have never given us a good framework about on how to deal with the cost of living. So some things sometimes when we hear politicians talking about them, we should not be too serious about them. It's about meeting their political interest. It's only that they use us Kenyans for them to achieve their objectives. And that's why I caution the Kenyans that they should be cautious about what is happening. What is your say about that summit of Azimio? Please drop your comment in the comment section below. And if this is your first time to come into this YouTube channel, I request you kindly take a minute or two and subscribe. Hit the notification bell. Share the video to your friends and like the videos. And for those ones who have actually subscribed to our YouTube channel, I say thank you and may God bless you so much. And with that, I say thank you until we meet in our next political conversation. Goodbye.